Welcome to this TSL podcast where we have the podcast where any man who wants to know about sex can find out everything he wants to know. And tonight, 2 a.m. on our Men's Development Excellence call, Wednesday night. It's now April 20th, but it started on April 19th at 8 p.m. in Austin time. We are talking about what is it like to have a woman serve you. This is the dream of every man, and this is what we hear so much. We hear the pursuit of power for masculinity through having femininity serve us. Now, this is a real thing and a phenomenon that happens, but how we see it is often totally wrong, and it gets misconstrued by all the fucked up groups out there. Pick Up promoted it. The Reddit groups promote it, and it just gets so distorted and twisted to where guys aren't actually having sex and learning how to, have relationships with women in a good way. They learn it in this conceptual way that is just so flawed. Right now on our call, we have 7 guys talking all about sex and the different ways that women are serving them. We have guys who have 3 women who are cutting their grass, who are cooking them dinner, who are cleaning their house. There's other guys who have, women just helping them out with their jobs and all this sort of stuff. And I was joking to a friend that, he has a personal assistant who comes home and does his laundry, who cooks his meals and prepares all of his life for him. And I was like, geez, man, God, I thought I had to use my dick in order to get that. But fuck, you just, hired a girl for that. It's too easy for you. But the fact of the matter is what they're talking about here is that it wasn't about value. It wasn't about status. It wasn't about a frame. It wasn't about this certain mindset that they had to implant this or an ideology that they had to have about women and how they're subservient or whatever. It was actually that just, no, women are women and it's cool and I like socializing with them. But man, as soon as my dick gets in them, as soon as I give them good sex, this is the result of it. And that's really how simple it is. And what men need to realize is, man, we need to know how to be sexual. Some of you may not be there yet, but again, more the reason to sign up on the Austin Men's Development Board. Click the links below. If you want to really dive deep in this, the best first step is the Men's Development Excellence course. That's where it's the membership. That's where this call is being hosted on. And we, like I said, we got 7 guys that are like freaking good at this, man. 6 of them, TSL alumni. 1 of them is a Men's Development Excellence member who's just taken this stuff and ran with it. And it's an important thing. When you know how to use your dick, when you know how to do that, man, amazing stuff happens. And it takes away all this crazy mystique that we have about what you need to be a man and how you need to, have status, how you need to show that you're the best, how you need to be dominant, how you need to out alpha people, how you need to, suppress women or see women in this light in order to get this result. No, you don't need any of that. What you need is you need to learn how to socialize, be normal, connect with them, have relationships, and get sex as quick as possible. Because when you deliver good sex and sex in a way that a woman has never experienced before, the result is she's going to want to be a woman for you. That's what happens. And sadly, so many men, you don't have that much competition, are having bad sex with women. So much to the point where the more sexually active a woman is, the more that I know I can please her and satisfy her in a way that the result will be her, for a short period of time, couple months or so, her absolutely serving me and wanting to be a part of my life. And the best part is if I can do that with multiple women, then I get it there. But it's the thing that most people don't talk about. The more women you have in your life, the more demand you have. And it's just, man, being a strong, powerful man or whatever you want to call it, or a good, sexual man and have this ability to provide for so many women. Why do you want that? Because when you actually get it, you realize that, wow, why am I chasing this so hard? There must be something else behind it. Most people don't ask themselves this. So the thing that we're looking at here is when we're having sex is not just an act. It's not just a physical act. It absolutely is that. It absolutely is that. It's a carnal act. It's of the bodies. It's the bodies coming together. It's the bodies having sex, man. In a way, having war, as we described in the rough sex video just the other day, having a war that achieves beauty, that achieves this resonance of true self. But the thing with it is sex is also psychological. So we need to put our sexuality on them. All right. And this is something that we talk about a lot. So when we're having sex, the important thing is that we know that they're receptive. So we don't want to put our sexuality on them at the expense of them. We want to put our sexuality on them so it affects them. The difference within that is that when we're having sex and unaware of what they're feeling and just going through the motions and doing certain things and saying certain things and throwing her up, picking her up, putting her on our shoulders while we're eating her pussy and slamming her against the wall, or pushing her against the couch, or holding her head down when we're having sex with her, or pulling her hair back, or coming around from a fishhook from the other side, or whatever it is, or covering her face so she can't breathe for a short period of time. Those are all physical acts. Those done at the expense of just our expression, negating if she likes it or not, that's putting sex on her without the exchange. The difference would be, and we can't talk about this during sex because sex, I mean, and you really, to be verbal during sex, you definitely can, but you can't explain. The logical mind doesn't work in the same way. The rational mind doesn't work in the same way. This is the problem with a lot of the consent laws, is that when we're turned on, going through a series of no's or anything, it doesn't really work that way. We've got to be able to read and see what's happening within sex. And a lot of bad sex actually happens after the sexual act too. So a lot of the stuff that really harms women sexually comes not from the act of it. The act was so intense that the neglect of them afterwards causes a vacuum and a void and a bad feeling, and then regret and shame of, oh my God, I got taken to this level and he was too aggressive with me and yada, yada, yada. These things that's how it really happens, And so the thing is that we need to find that beautiful exchange. If I am having sex with a woman and I'm being rough, I'm fucking her from behind, I'm pulling her ass cheeks apart, I'm going from the front and grabbing the front of her pussy while I'm fucking it and stretching it apart, and I'm having that, it has to do with her liking it. If she doesn't like it, I stop and I do something else. There's many ways for me to push my sexuality, because I also don't just want to do that. I might want to grab her body. I might want to grab her breasts. I might want to slap her tits. I might want to massage them when I'm having sex with her. I might want to grab her shoulders. I might want to go underneath her armpits and grab her shoulders from the other ways. I might want to pull her arms behind her back, so she's in this position, all these different things to feel and where she wants to go. But it's absolutely dependent upon her. When we can do that, and when we can make sex about her getting my dick off, not because she's a weak woman or because of anything like that, but because that's the value of sex for her expression. Her sexuality is making me orgasm, and the vice versa. Her sexuality is making me orgasm, and my sexuality is making her orgasm, and it works both ways. Man, that's the value of it. So if I can get her to enjoy how she's getting me off, if I can get her to also like how I'm aggressively having sex with her, while she also has pleasure, that is her body, her moan, her orgasm, her sense of how she moves and her sexuality giving me the unique orgasm that only her sexuality could get from me. It's funny because one of the guys was on the calls. He was like, man, I feel like she could do this with everybody. It's so detached. It's like we're doing it, but she could get any guy to do this. And I was like, man, that's great, because that's what women fear most. The more that you can understand that, the more that you'll be able to understand resistance when a woman goes like, well, I don't just do this with anybody, or you do this with everybody, or you probably just say this line to everybody. It's like, no. This is you right now. Because you understand that feeling now. Or for the gentleman on the call, he's experienced that, right? And so the value for sex for me is also that what I'm doing to her stays with her. What I'm doing to her is uniquely mine. She can't get this experience from any other man. She can't get this body, this dick, this way I move, this way I experience her from anybody else, because it delivers something. So there's that beautiful symbiosis that happens. And when that happens, man, that's all you need to have good sex. If you don't know what we're talking about here, maybe you haven't had enough sex, but if you are sexually active, start being aware of this in your sexual experiences. This is also why sexual variety is good, or experiences where you're having sex with 4 or 5 different girls in the period of, maybe 2 months, 3 months, gives you the opportunity. And it's not just you're having sex with these girls once, multiple times, but gives you the opportunity to find this range of sexuality, how all women are different, yet there's similarities that carry over. And so you get to know the true feminine and what the language of that is, but you also get to know the uniqueness of her. Sex is so much about experiencing, God, man, her unique self, and seeing that as an individual and a value of the feminine, and all that, mushy, whatever, feminist, whatever talk, while also being a man and taking it and giving it and building submission within it and achieving a point where, man, as soon as I take my dick out of that woman, I know the imprint of it, the emotion, the feeling still exists within her. As soon as that happens, man, all I get is love back. All I get is the quality of femininity that I've always desired and always chased. That's what I hear most men denying themselves from when they get so involved in the definition of masculinity by defining and controlling the feminine or whatever. No, man, you need that shit. You need the woman. I'm incomplete without it. But part of completing myself to it is fucking taking it. So you got to step it up in the right ways, men. Have sex, get laid, have sex as much as you can. If you're not a guy that wants to be promiscuous, that's fine. But dive deep into what your sexuality is, because your sexuality, your expression of who you are, can fit many, many different masks, many different expressions. That could be monogamy, that could be polyamory, that could be whatever it is. Don't get tied up in these things. Get tied up in your emotions and your feeling and that experience with that individual, and have that start shaping and defining the beliefs that you have. All right? Good stuff. Sign up on our stuff. Get involved in it, man. We are a community, and we are a community that talks about this. And if you want to hear the technical breakdowns of it, there's plenty of Daily Awesomes that have that, as well as Sexual Life podcasts that have that. And there's also PDFs, a PDF that you can find if you're watching this in the month of April. That is the text messaging guide, text messaging to sex. But there's, I think, 17 different quick guides that we have on dating, on sexual escalation, on, the female mind and what women say and how to actually turn that into a dialogue where they'll understand you and your desires. Man, it's great stuff. So that's what we have going on here. And if you want to step it up to the Men's Development Excellence membership, you get a bunch of courses, you get a ton of stuff. But I think the most valuable thing that we have are the calls where everybody's on tearing it up. And this video is sadly doing a disservice to these guys, because these guys are going off at 2 a.m. on a Wednesday night, Thursday morning. That's pretty crazy. All right. Thank you so much for your support. We'll talk to you guys soon.